Oklahoma's remote green country is the setting for this legal showdown. At the state penitentiary, 120 inmates sit on death row. One of them, 30-year-old Thomas Grasso, is fighting for a lethal injection.
I think that New York is looking at it like, well, we can't have that little rinky-dink state tell us that, well, we sent somebody there to stand trial, and now this person says that they're not coming back, and the state is backing them up on it.
By Oklahoma standards, this son of a Long Island mechanic earned his fate.
He, in a very aggravated, cruel fashion, killed two elderly people, helpless people, for just a few dollars.
In 1991, Grasso was living in the Staten Island boarding house where he strangled an 82-year-old man. He pleaded guilty and began serving a 20 years to life sentence. Then New York agreed to send Grasso to Tulsa to stand trial for a similar murder. He admitted breaking into his neighbor's home and strangling an 87-year-old woman in 1990. He got the death penalty, but New York says Grasso must serve the earlier sentence first. Some people argue you should go to prison and suffer as much as possible. After all, you killed two people.
Where is it that they know what's best for me? How can they possibly say, well, we don't think you should do that to him. We think this should happen. Where are they to say that?
New York is now threatening to sue Oklahoma if this state fails to cooperate. Should Grasso be returned, he will not be eligible for parole until the year 2011. That means his prison stay will cost New Yorkers at least $500,000. But the principle-minded Governor Cuomo is a staunch death penalty foe.
And isn't life imprisonment without parole a tougher penalty? And the answer is life imprisonment without parole is tougher. What evidence do you have, Governor? Grasso from Oklahoma, who would rather go back and get killed than face a long penalty.
A shrewd Grasso gloats over the uproar. He says he chose to stand trial in Oklahoma knowing he could end his life and his misery.
They've already passed a sentence upon me. Why not just have them do it now and save who knows how many X number of dollars that would be, you could be put to someone's house. I'm going to take this all the way to the end as far as I can take it until they execute me.
Governor Cuomo has said he is willing to let the federal courts decide this issue. The Attorney General here says, fine, let's go to court. Oklahoma will win. Meantime, Grasso admits he's enjoying all the attention as long as it gets him what he wants, the death penalty. And we're live in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I'm Celeste Ford, Channel 7 Eyewitness News.
Thank you, Celeste. New York City Transit Police.
From the Oklahoma State Penitentiary in McAllister, a 30-year-old inmate argues for his death wish. Thomas Grasso is in the middle of a bizarre custody battle, and he says New York is keeping him from the lethal injection he demands.
I don't want to be a pawn between these two states. And I can't see doing 20 years in New York just to come back here when, by law, Oklahoma has the right to execute me.
In 1992, he admitted strangling an 82-year-old Staten Island man. Grasso was serving a 20 years to life sentence when New York shipped him to Tulsa so he could stand trial for a similar murder involving an 87-year-old woman. Again, Grasso pleaded guilty. He asked for the death penalty and got it. But Governor Cuomo, a death penalty opponent, wants him to serve the New York sentence first.
And isn't life imprisonment without parole a tougher penalty? And the answer is life imprisonment without parole is tougher.
Grasso has shown a remarkable degree of shrewdness in seeking his own execution. He says he agreed to leave New York for trial in Oklahoma, knowing the death penalty is available here. Some people argue you should go to prison and suffer as much as possible. After all, you killed two people.
Where is it that they know what's best for me? How can they possibly say, well, we don't think you should do that to him. We think this should happen. Where are they to say that?
Grasso appeals to the pragmatic New Yorker. It would cost taxpayers more than $500,000 to keep him in prison until he is eligible for parole, the year 2011.
They've already passed a sentence upon me. Why not just have them do it now and save who knows how many X number of dollars that would be, you could be put to someone's house?